What is
Look at this dude.
G gang. So today we're doing a reaction video to scary stories. True scary stories. I'm gonna be doing it by myself.
And I
was gonna do it at 12 to make sure you know I'm not lying. I'm gonna show you the time. It is currently 12:06. Well, all the spooky stuff happened. Ooh, ah, ooh.
Really, nigga?
So I've never seen these scary stories before, so we gonna see how I react to them. You know, I'm kind of scared.
What?
Real life. Because I feel like when you alone, that's where all the creepy stuff happen. Like every little thing scares me and jumps me. But like, comment, subscribe, leave some feedback. Make sure you watch the full video. Make sure you follow my main pages, Itsjada.g. That's my username for everything. Follow my Instagram page. Make sure you're following my hair page, Natural Queen Candy. And boom, let's get into it.
I was around 10 years old when this happened. Me and my two best friends and our parents were on a long vacation in Turkey in a very good as photo. One night, me and my two best friends, who I'll call Tim and Phil for this video, were staying at Tim's room in the hotel while our parents were in the hotel restaurant. The room wasn't bad, actually all of our rooms seemed safe. At least we thought it was. We were having a lot of fun watching Simpsons and playing Monopoly, but what happened that night still makes me have chills. So it was around 1 AM and our parents were late. Phil looked at them through the window and said, "They're still in that stupid restaurant." "Yeah, they told us they'll come back until 11 PM, I answered. Guys? Someone is knocking on the door," Tim said. "It's probably just room service," Phil said. Can we not open the door?" I said. I was pretty scared in that situation.
You definitely don't know.
I was only 10 and my friends were only 2 and 3 years older than me. So we were all pretty much defenseless children in the room. Tim, who was the oldest, answered, "Oh, come on, it's just room service." The guy on the other side of the door said, "Hello. Can you please open the door?" When he said that, we were all scared. In a couple of minutes of silence, he said in a louder voice, "Open the goddamn door!"
Oh shit.
I started crying because I knew he was in room service, because if he was, he would have talked in Turkish. I was in shock as in that moment I realized that this strange guy is using a fake ID card to open the door. Tim grabbed both of us and we ran to the bathroom and locked the door. Luckily, the guy wasn't fast to get us.
Look at this dude.
He was screaming to open the door. I said, "Look, a phone!" Luckily, Tim's mom left her phone so we could call her if we needed anything. So Phil grabbed the phone and called his dad and told them the situation. And they came up to find the guy nowhere.
Damn, they actually got in? Oh my God.
They thought we were lying to them until the hotel manager showed them the footage. We found out that the man was stalking us and a couple other children.
Oh, if you don't get...
In a couple of days, police had finally caught him. He was a serial rapist and a pedophile. We were just lucky he wasn't fast to get us. I will never forget that night, as that was the worst day of my life.
The missing brother.
When I was 15, my mother went out shopping and left me in charge of the house. It was starting to get dark and I realized my little brother was nowhere to be found. I asked my sister if she knew where he was and she said he had gone to the park around the corner to kick his soccer ball around. I told her to watch the house while I was gone and ran off in the direction of the park. When I got there, I was surprised to find the park completely empty. I called out my brother's name, but there was no answer. I started to get worried, and all of a sudden I heard a faint muffled noise coming from my left. I turned just in time to see a tall figure disappearing behind a large fence. I sprinted as fast as I could. When I came around to the other side of the fence, I saw something that almost made me choke in horror. My little brother was being dragged down the alleyway by a tall man. I flew into a rage and tears of anger streamed down my face.
Oh, bitch,
I ran at him and he must have heard me coming because he turned around and faced me.
My God, this dude again. If it was me,
He dropped my younger
I don't
brother.
know.
The tall man tried to grab me, but I was
Yeah,
running
you trying
at
to
him
get two
so
children.
fast that when I slammed into
Yeah,
him,
buddy, this
it
ain't no
knocked him
two.
off
Oh,
his
smash!
feet.
This
He
ain't no
swore and
make
tried to
it
get
these,
back up, but I
these.
just started stomping on his face.
That boy don't wake up.
Without stopping to
Yeah.
ask questions,
Get up.
I picked my brother up and ran as fast as I could back to our house. By this time, it was pitch black outside and my mother was home. She was frantic with worry, and when she saw the look on our face, she realized that something bad had happened. As I explained, my brother and I
So nobody
started
gonna close the
crying,
door?
and my mom gave us both the biggest
finna
hug
come
ever,
back.
and she cried with us. Eventually, the police were called, but this guy was never found.
They never found him.
This story takes place when I was a junior high school student. One morning during summer vacation, after my father went to work, my mother and I decided to visit my maternal grandmother, who lived in a rural area. Since my grandmother's house was located in the countryside, getting there required making a left turn, then driving for 5 minutes through a narrow, one-car-wide, unpaved road. There were rice fields and forest on the sides
Bro,
of the
if you gotta
unpaved
travel
road.
this far, I ain't trying to see
As
you.
soon as we arrived, I
Especially
greeted my
old
grandmother,
ass. No.
then went into my youngest uncle's room. I used to like visiting my
He didn't even
grandmother's
hide the
house
grandma. He just went
because
straight to the
my
computer.
uncle was
How
a
rude.
huge gaming fan, and his computer was much better than mine at home. So once I confirmed my uncle was at work, I turned on his computer and started playing Doom 3, which used to be the most popular game once upon a time. After playing the game for about an hour or two, my uncle returned from work. Upon his arrival, my grandmother asked him to take her grocery shopping, since my mother, my aunt,
But
and
why
I were
that grandma
visiting her
nose so
house.
long?
So at about 7 p.m.,
That just
they all drove to
saying.
town to do some grocery shopping. I was super excited and waved goodbye to them. Since I think it is unnecessary to explain why I was excited, I'll just leave it. After enjoying about 90 minutes of free time, my uncle called. He said he was about to turn left on the road, but one of the front wheels was punctured, and asked me to bring him a new tire which was in the storage shed. As I said before, after making that left turn, it took about 5 minutes to drive through a narrow, unpaved single-lane road to see my grandmother's house, but it took about 20 to 30 minutes on foot. Now that I think about it, it was quite scary to walk on that road, especially at night.
In the dark?
It had no streetlights
no, I'm sorry,
and was
but y'all
surrounded
without
by
a
rice
tower.
fields and forest. It was almost 9 p.m., and that area got quite dark at about 8 because it was in the country. So to be honest, I was really scared,
Oh,
but not
you
wanting
should.
anyone to know I was a coward, I decided to
And
go.
the tires are heavy. Oh,
I grabbed the tire, left the house, and started walking along the unpaved road. I could see my uncle shining his car's headlights toward me. That said, he was still quite far away from me, and the headlights looked like two big yellow dots. I was a bit relieved knowing my uncle and family were on the other end of this road, but the night was dark, which
Keep
deepened
going.
my fear. You
Don't
know,
even look at the tree. Just
when
keep
you
going.
walk in the
Close your
darkness,
eyes.
your eyes adjust, and you start to see unclear shapes. I felt like I could see someone standing in the rice field, and someone sitting down, resting his chin on his hands, and looking at me through the bushes.
Boy,
I
that's
broke
how my
out in a cold
imagination be
sweat
at night.
and
Just
held
let's
my
keep
legs
going,
to
baby.
keep them from shaking. It felt scarier than being alone on a pitch
You
dark
walking,
night.
run, nigga.
And because of the fear and the delusion I had created,
run. Just
I
keep
remember
running.
feeling really dizzy. After walking for about 20 minutes, I looked towards my uncle's car and realized I was nearly there. Feeling happier, I rolled the tire faster. I rushed to hand over the tire to him as soon as possible, but saw something in front of me. I wasn't sure what it was because it was still a bit away
It's a
from me,
hobo.
but it was something dark.
It's just a hobo.
Suddenly, I felt strange and slowed down. Since I wanted to determine what it was while still having some distance, I strained my head and neck trying to look carefully, but it was too dark. Although I was scared, I started to walk again, thinking, nothing is going to happen because I have my uncle and family about 300 meters away. But when I got closer to it, I stopped because it became clearly visible. It was an old woman squatting with her mouth open, looking at the rice fields. I could only see the side of her face, but my whole body shivered because her blank facial expression with her mouth open was now clearly visible in the darkness. Without realizing it, I walked really close to the old woman. For reasons I don't understand, walking by without saying anything seemed even scarier. So I started talking to her. With a frightened voice, I asked, "Excuse me, what are you doing here at night?"
Why'd you ask her that?
But she did not respond and kept looking at the rice field. On the verge of crying, I shouted, "Excuse me!" She then looked at me, and I felt my heart tightening. Even though it was dark, I could clearly see she had permed white hair, and I could only see the white parts of her eyes. The scariest thing were the huge wrinkles and stains covering her face and her wide open mouth.
I would have ran. Stop.
I felt strange, like I was going crazy while looking at her.
Run it back. Stop.
I had eye contact, but was looking down while she was looking up at me. After a few moments of eye contact, she turned her body toward me. Oh my gosh, I thought she was sitting down, but realized she had no lower body. She only had a torso and head which was supported from the ground with two arms.
She got good upper body strength.
A flood of thoughts crossed my mind, but I remember thinking, there is Satan right in front of me. I felt like she was going to run into me with her two arms if I didn't move, so I grabbed the tire in my arms and sprinted with my eyes closed tight.
Oh, about time.
Without remembering how long I'd been running, I suddenly felt relieved. It was the next morning, and I was in my grandmother's room. When I asked my mother what happened, she said she was waiting for me in the car and saw me sprinting with my head down, holding the tire in my arms, and suddenly fell off the road, causing my family to come out of the car.
Really? He was
shocked.
that close to dying. I didn't see him.
After listening to my mother, I told her and my other family members what I went through,
I feel like that old grandma.
thinking I had suffered a heat stroke. That evening, my grandmother made me chicken soup.
That chicken soup ain't
My
gonna take
uncle
that
told
away.
me to stop playing horror games and wouldn't let me play Doom 3
that's typical
anymore.
parents. Every time something go wrong,
From then
it's the
on,
electronics.
I could only play a Star Wars racing
I
game
watched them
while
by that
staying
because
at
you
my
watched it on my
grandmother's
phone.
house. I still believe it was not a ghost that I saw that day.
Like for real.
It was just an illusion caused
Stop.
by my mental
Stop.
weakness.
That's not funny, cause I don't like the way I don't like when people walk like that. I'm literally on the edge of my seat.
About 10 years
If I
ago,
was to go, what's
my
that? I'm gonna
3-year-old
be
son
on
and
this
I
table.
moved to a house from our apartment. It was a very old building, and the inside of the house always seemed to be just a little darker and just a little colder than it should have been.
That last one, I'm getting anxiety.
Not long after we moved in, a friend of mine came to visit.
Ooh.
The whole time we were sitting and talking, she seemed very uncomfortable. When I looked at her face, I noticed that something in the other room had caught her attention. Her eyes grew wide and she said, "I have to go." I asked her what was wrong, but she refused to tell me.
You can't just leave like
Her
that.
odd
What you
reaction
see?
was
I'm
freaking
trying
me
to
out,
leave
so
you
I kept
alone.
after her. On her way out the door, she finally
No,
blurted
baby,
out,
come back.
"This house is
Don't
haunted,"
leave. We can't
but she
make
wouldn't
this
tell
work.
me
I
what it
got so
was
much cheese. Come
or
back.
what made her think so. To this day, she still refuses to tell me what she saw.
Why?
About a week later, my 3-year-old son casually asked me who the old lady in the bathroom was. One day, I was leaving my house for work, and I got to the car and I realized I needed to run back in the house to get something. I walked into the house, and as soon as I got inside, this framed photo on the wall shot off the wall. It didn't fall down. It shot horizontally away from the wall, and it landed on a mosaic table with enough force to break some of the tiles off of it. I felt like whatever was in the house was pissed, and that I came back in after it thought I had left for the day. After living in the house for about 6 months, I noticed a weird square cut into the boards on the deck. There was no handle, but I was able to pry it up. The hole was just big enough to fit through, and there was a ladder going down. For some reason, I went down and I found myself in what looked like a homemade basement. It was basically just a room dug out of the earth, with no constructed walls or stone supports or anything like that. It was very dark, but I could see something over in the corner. It was a suspicious looking stone. It looked like one of those old headstones you see in cemeteries. Just then, some insects started jumping on me, so I got out of the basement as fast as I could and never went back. Now this is the part that affected me the most. It's also the reason we left the house. One night I was in bed laying on my stomach just about to fall asleep, and I heard someone walk into my room. The footsteps came from the doorway over to my bed. I didn't realize until later that the fact that I heard the footsteps was weird because the room was carpeted. When the footsteps reached my bed, I felt someone put their hands on my back. 2 hands, just gently laid flat on my back and kept me there. I assumed it was my son. "What are you doing?" I asked, but there was no answer. I looked up. No one was there. I got up and checked my son's bedroom, and he was in bed fast asleep. We moved out soon after that, and we never looked back.
I look back all the time. Bro, that's the end of the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on it. Make sure you're following my main pages on Instagram at Jenna10K and my hair page, Natural Cream Candy. Make sure you are sharing my video, sharing my Instagram post, sharing everything with your friends, family, dog, aunt, uncle, object. Make sure you're sharing my video so we can reach 200 subscribers and do that giveaway where I'm picking 5 winners fairly. Make sure you stay active on my page. I decided to maybe do shout outs once in a while to keep y'all entertained. And I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Have a nice day.